Good morning. You're welcome to yet another session, A03, Writing for Academic and Professional Success. The last 4 sessions, I was trying to give you an introduction to academic writing. Well, in the beginning, we were talking about what is academic writing, who are academicians, what are the different genres of writing. All these things we were trying to discuss in the first 2 sessions. And now today, in the 3rd session, we are continuing with the same unit, that is Unit 1, Introduction to Academic Writing. Today we are going to, with this session, we are coming to an end of the first unit. Now, who are academic writers? Academic writers are referred to as scholars or academicians, and their writing is considered as scholarly writing or scholarly papers. You and me belong to the category of academicians, and we are supposed to write very seriously, keeping in mind the process, the procedures, and the rules and regulations regarding different genres of writing. Training at undergraduate level to write argumentative essays, book reviews, project reports, etc. will enable the academician, the student, the teacher, enable them to write seminar papers, journal articles, dissertation and thesis at PG level, and research programs at an advanced level. Now, at this point, I would like to get into some of the phrases, some of the terms which are used in among the academicians in order to safeguard the standard of writing and certain steps we have to follow while we pursue an academic degree or program. The first one I would like you to get in touch with is something known as blind peer review. Blind peer review. When an academic paper is written for publication, you see, publication of articles, publication of papers in standard journals is a prerequisite to get into any academic position, whether it be an associate professor, assistant professor, or professor. You have to produce documents to the effect that you have published certain papers in the particular discipline that you are pursuing. Here, when you send a paper for publication, the publisher or the editor does not publish it straight away. He sends the paper to peers. Peers means those who are working in the similar position elsewhere. Academicians, they send the paper to the academicians and get a feedback from them regarding the relevance of the paper, the correctness of the paper, regarding the originality of the paper, the precision of the paper, so many aspects. There's so many aspects there. So it is reviewed by, the paper is reviewed by peers, people working in the same field, academicians, and then they send a feedback to the publisher or the editor, saying that, okay, this particular paper is worth publishing, or this paper has the following drawbacks, and so it cannot be published. It can be published only after making necessary corrections. So this is what is normally done. So we were talking about blind peer reviewing. When an academic paper is written for publication, it undergoes a process known as blind peer reviewing. Please remember this term, blind peer reviewing. A paper submitted by a scholar for publication in a journal is sent to other scholars. They are called reviewers. There will be a panel of reviewers, people who are competent, people who are knowledgeable in the particular discipline. Now, the editor, it is sent to other scholars, reviewers, by the editor of the journal, without mentioning the name of the person who has written the paper. See, and he will not also disclose other details regarding the writer of the paper or the author of the paper. Now, and the reviewers, what they do, they read the paper and determine whether the paper is worth publishing. They take into consideration various aspects to assess the paper. Now, the identity of the reviewer is never disclosed. Who has reviewed your paper? You will not know. Who has reviewed your paper? You will not know. To whom your paper is being sent for reviewing? You never know. That's why this process is called blind peer reviewing. The identity of the reviewers is never disclosed to the author of the paper. So this is one of the things with which you have to be familiar with. Next one is a very dangerous phenomenon seen in academic field. The word I would like to introduce is plagiarism. Now, what is this plagiarism? Plagiarism is the act of stealing others' ideas and works. Plagiarism is an act of stealing others' ideas and works and passing them as one's own. Very dangerous trend that should be completely avoided in the academic field. Most academic institutions and publishers today check the academic papers submitted to them for plagiarism. There are mechanisms to check plagiarism in what you write. Or the use of plagiarism is nothing but use of others' works and ideas as one's own. Any use of others' work, sentences or ideas without acknowledging the source is considered as plagiarism. Now, there may be people who have written about the same area in which you are writing a paper. There is no harm in reading all those materials which are available on the particular topic. There's no harm. It is good that you may choose some things to quote in your paper. All this can be done, but it should be acknowledged in your paper. That is very important. Without acknowledging, if you use others' ideas, sentences, and certain arguments, and presenting them as your own, is known as plagiarism, which is very, very seriously looked into in academic field nowadays. Now, so in simple terms, as I told you, plagiarism is an act of stealing, other very rude word, stealing others' ideas and works and passing them on as your own. It is an unethical act, a serious offense, and is treated as a breach of academic integrity. It is a breach of, you are doing something against academic integrity. The easiest way to avoid plagiarism is to distinguish your ideas from the ideas of others in your paper. This is, that is, every idea borrowed from others need to be acknowledged in the text of your paper by separating them using quotation marks, and providing the details of sources. Who said this? Whose idea is that one which you have borrowed? From which source, which book, which article, which paper? All this should be mentioned if you borrow somebody else's ideas or arguments. So, you know something about plagiarism. Now, the next term I would like to introduce is honor code. H-O-N-O-R, honor code, C-O-D-E. Now, what is this honor code? While in an educational institution, you have to be careful about keeping the standards of that particular institution. Now, in universities in the United States and advanced countries, when you get admission or when you take admission into a campus, you give them a kind of agreement. You give them a kind of an agreement that, to the effect that, you will throughout your stay in the campus for the purpose of academic pursuit, you will adhere to the rules and regulations of the campus. That is exactly what is known by honor code. Please listen. Writer of an academic paper is expected to adhere to certain basic ethics, and they have to conduct themselves in a responsible manner. Some universities, particularly in the United States, make it mandatory for all students to sign an agreement called honor code, H-O-N-O-R-C-O-D-E, honor code, at the time of enrolling for academic program. Honor code is like a pledge taken by the students to the effect that they will uphold academic integrity and ethical behavior and will not engage in any kind of cheating, stealing, and misrepresentation. Honor code. Honor code is nothing but a pledge taken by the student at the time of entering an academic program in a campus. What you say is that when the students, the pledge is they will uphold the academic integrity, ethical behavior, and will not engage in any kind of cheating, stealing, and misrepresentation. Now, boys and girls, academic writers, unlike lay persons and writers of non-academic articles, carry out their writing tasks sensibly, intelligibly, and with a critical mind. They do not take the truth of they do not take for truth all information that they stumble upon. Rather, they suspect the authenticity of the information and are keen on verifying sources. So, whenever whenever you write or gather information from different sources in order to write an article, write a paper, as an academician, it is your duty to check the truth, to check the authenticity of the idea or the opinion or whatever it is, because that is very, very important for keeping academic ethics. Now, in your textbook, as I have told you, you have a textbook, Writing for Academic and Professional Success. Now, in the textbook, on page 16, there are two passages given. One is an academic passage, then the other is a non-academic passage. You know what are the, by now, what are the specialities of an academic writing and how it is different from a non-academic writing. Read the passage. Simply read the passage and very easily you will be able to understand which one of them is academic and which one is non-academic. And in the academic paper passage, try to identify the main features of academic writing. That will be a good exercise for you in order to understand the various aspects of academic writing. Now, all this time you were listening to me on Introduction to Academic Writing, Unit 1, and I divided it into 3 sessions. First 2 sessions, and today is the 3rd session. With that, we come to the end of the first unit, namely Introduction to Academic Writing. Points to remember, and the second unit we will start in the next session. Thank you for listening to me. Till we meet next time, keep well. Thank you.